Hello and welcome to EDC 516, Methods for Teaching Bilingual and Multilingual Learners. My name is Dr. Laura Hamman-Ortiz, and I will be your instructor for this course. In this video, I'm going to introduce myself and also provide an overview of the structure of the course and what to expect. I've also recorded a separate video for the syllabus, so please make sure you watch that as well, where I go in depth into the different components of the course. So we'll start with introductions. As I said, my name is Laura, and I have been working in the field of bilingual and multilingual education for a long time. I got my start as a classroom teacher, and it was really that experience, my first job teaching in San Antonio, Texas, that brought me into this field. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, but I had studied Spanish in college and really wanted to work in a context where I could put my world language skills to use. And so my first job was in Texas. And it was working in that context with my second grade students that I realized I knew Spanish, which certainly was helpful, but I had never taken courses in TESOL or bilingual education. I didn't have the tools and the strategies that I needed to be able to effectively support my students, many of whom were learning English as a new language. So that's what drove me back to school. I became certified in TESOL and then taught abroad for several years in Santiago, Chile, where I had a chance to teach in bilingual programs and really became passionate about not only supporting multilingual learners, but also bilingual education. And that's where much of my research now is focused. So that's a little bit about me. I've lived and worked in many places, as you can probably sense just from that brief introduction. I've been working as a teacher educator now for many years. I've lived and worked in Wisconsin, Colorado, Indiana, and now here in Rhode Island. And I'm really passionate about making sure that all teachers have what they need to be able to support the bilingual or multilingual students in their classroom. So let's jump into talking about the course. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right. So you'll see on the syllabus this course description, and I want to spend a couple minutes just kind of unpacking what it says here. So the course is a methods course. So you are being introduced to methods and materials for teaching multilingual learners. Although it is a methods class, I feel very strongly that you shouldn't just be given tools without having an organizational scheme to organize those tools. And so I do begin the course thinking about second language acquisition theory and research, recognizing that most of you have had courses in that subject already, so we don't spend too much time there, but we just kind of together review what are some of the core theories and some of the central research around what we know about learning a new language. So we'll start there and then build in from there into the different methods and techniques for supporting bilingual and multilingual students. So you will be exploring, developing, and applying your teaching strategies, and then beginning to design instruction that aligns with TESOL and WIDA standards so that you can effectively support your students. You will also complete a professional development project, which is something that is often the assignment that my students enjoy the most, where you'll get to share some of what you're learning with your peers or with your colleagues. So before getting into the assignments, I wanted to share a few important core values that I hold and that I hope to impart to you through this course. One is that all teachers are language teachers. It doesn't matter if you teach high school math or first grade at a bilingual school, or if you're teaching special education and you're a specialist. All teachers are language teachers because we teach through the medium of language. So my goal in this course is for you to start to think more reflectively about the way that you use language to teach every day and the way that you're asking students to use language and that you could ask students to use language so that they can engage with the material. Because all teachers are language teachers. No matter what your content area is, you teach language because you teach through language. Another important core value for me and for us to think about in this course is that this course isn't just about teaching language, it's also about being an advocate for our multilingual learners. Multilingual learners are oftentimes immigrant students or children of immigrant families, and beyond just being a teacher, our role as an educator of multilingual learners often requires us to be an advocate, and to think about the ways and learn about the ways that our students face discrimination so that we can advocate for our students. Because we know that in this country, students of color and immigrant students specifically are not treated fairly and are not all treated equally. And so it's important that you don't just come away with an idea of how to implement strategies, but that you also come to see yourself as an advocate for your students and for their families. All right, so with that, I'll briefly overview the assignments. And then, as I mentioned, please spend some time going through the syllabus and watching the syllabus video so that you have a deeper understanding of what the core assignments are. The way that the course is structured is that you have weekly readings and viewings. There are articles you'll be reading. We have a course text that you'll be reading. I have some videos that I've recorded and that I have found that I think are useful that I've embedded within the course. So every week you will have some things that you will be engaging with as content. We also have weekly discussion forums where you'll be processing what you're learning through the medium of the discussion forum, and you'll be able to engage with your classmates in that way. And we also have 2 practice quizzes that are really just an opportunity for you to get used to the style of the praxis test if you haven't taken your ESOL praxis test already, and also to apply some of what you're learning in this course. So those are course or quizzes you can take as many times as you want until they close. And so the goal is that you're just practicing. So everybody should be able to get 100% on both of those. There's 2 of them in the course. Like I said, they're not meant to be gotcha assessments. They're meant to be a chance for you to practice both kind of the wording of praxis quizzes and also applying some of what you're learning through a quiz. The 3 main assignments then are a culturally and linguistically responsive unit plan, your professional development project, and your school or district-based problem paper, or if you're not a master's student or a master's student or certificate student, your advocacy research paper. So I'll start with the first one there. The culturally and linguistically responsive unit plan is something that we'll work on throughout the course, and it's a chance for you to apply the different methods that you're learning, that we're learning each week, to designing a holistic unit that is culturally and linguistically responsive. You can use a unit that you already have to teach and adapt it, or you can design a fresh, brand new unit. But the goal is that you would design something you could actually teach, because when you take EDC 519, if you are in the TESOL program, the idea is that you might be able to teach some lessons based on the unit that you've designed. So that's something that we'll continue to work on throughout the course. And there's a separate video just talking about that assignment. The professional development project, similarly, is something that I want you to be thinking about throughout the course. But this is where you design a PD that you implement for your colleagues, for your classmates. If you're a pre-service teacher, sometimes students work together and they deliver a workshop to their peers. So you pick some topic that you have found important and interesting from this course, and you design a PD project, a professional development workshop that you deliver and then reflect on after that. And then the final but largest piece is the school or district-based problem paper or advocacy research paper. So this is part 2 of the district-based or school-based problem paper that you worked on in EDC 501, and then that you also continue to work on in EDC 506 if you are a master's student where you plan to design the research plan. But in this course, you are both sharing the research that you've done. So part of it is research, and you're sharing what you've read, what you've learned, and then also any research you conducted. If you're a master's student, you should have done research, or you can do the research during this course, and then you report on the findings, and then implementing something based on what you've learned. So implementing some sort of action plan. I will be meeting with all of you to talk about kind of where you are in this process, so that we can come up with a plan for how you can work on this throughout the semester and have your paper submitted by the end of the semester. This is the major paper for the course. This is the assignment that goes into task stream for this course if you are a master's or a certification student. So it is important to think about how you're going to continue to work on this throughout the course. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the video devoted to that. If you are not a master's or a certification student, some of that probably was confusing. Don't worry about the precursors to the paper. you will just be working on an advocacy research paper where you choose a topic that is of interest to you, you research that topic, and then you write a synthesis of kind of what you learned about the topic, and how you can advocate based on, for multilingual learners based on what you learned. So those are the three major assignments. And as I mentioned, they're all kind of assignments that we work on throughout the course, that are due in the last few weeks of class. As I mentioned, we do have a course text. It is Scaffolding Language, Scaffolding Learning by Pauline Gibbons. This is a fabulous resource. I've been using it for several years, and I really think it's a wonderful toolkit for educators to be able to better support multilingual students. So please purchase this book as soon as you can. I have the first chapter copied for you just in case you aren't able to get it in time, but then once you have it, you'll be using your own text moving forward. And to wrap up, here is my email. Know that you can always reach out to me via email whenever you need anything. I have office hours set up by appointment. So if you do want to meet, just send me an email and we can coordinate a time to meet over Zoom. Or if you find yourself on campus, or if you are an undergraduate student who's on campus, my office is in 714 Chafee, so we can also meet in person in Kingston. I look forward to working with all of you, and I'm so excited to have you in this class. I can't wait to learn together.